So for a while I was being published in Pakistan Link for a few years, but around 1994-95, the editor Faz Rahman, um, he, he would occasionally publish me and sometimes not publish me at all. One day he invited me to his office, which I never ever went to his office, and he says, you know, my paper is mainstream, and I want the content to be mainstream, and congressmen and senators are reading this paper, and I have to be careful. So he was scared, I think. Um, but the kind of music that I was listening to, it was not mainstream. It was on the edge. It was a little bit harsh. It was in the 80s. It was punk rock. It was heavy metal. It was hard rock, and it was very straightforward in the lyrics. The musicians were very straightforward and not afraid. Uh, so I had written some article, and he told me to review it again and make it more mainstream. I said okay. So I went home and read the article once, read it twice, tried to edit it, tried to make it more mainstream, read it a third time. I said, you know what? I can't find how I can't find any place I should edit this. It's exactly what I want to say. If I edit it, if I edit it and try to make it mainstream, it's not what I want to say. It's not, that's not my words anymore. So, um, so that was a good exercise for me to go through, a good realization that, um, you know, I have to stay true to what I want to say. I have to be stay true to my voice, and not in any arrogant way, but in just a very, you know, this is what I want to say. And if you want me to say something different, those are not my words. That's somebody else's words. And if an editor wants me to write mainstream ideas, then there are many people, many poets, many writers writing mainstream ideas. That's just not me. So somebody's gotta raise those um, other points which are on the margins. Somebody's gotta, you know, it's a dirty job, but somebody's gotta do it. Somebody's gotta talk about the bitter truth. Somebody's gotta stick his neck out and report on the problems. Somebody's gotta take the risk and be the messenger of bad news, that people want to kill the messenger. People want to beat up the person who is telling them something shameful that's going on. They don't want to hear the bitter truth. They want to, especially in poetry, you know, often if I tell people I'm a poet, they think, oh, you know, poetry, that must be romantic. But although I consider myself a romantic type of person, but you usually will not see any of that in my poems. Um, so my poetry style, I think, is what Robert Bly calls uh, the the style of other countries, where the poet has to be inside the community. Cannot the poet cannot be an the poet cannot have an elitist attitude, or a poet cannot be that kind of artist who lives away from his quote unquote community or society, his social circle. He has to be in the social circle, meaning what he's writing about has to be things that he has experienced. Can't be just theory. And he has to talk.
Oh, looks like a train.
the poet has to talk about the issues of the people. He has to be a voice of the voiceless.
So, why don't we read some of your poems?